What's up, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of the Fancast Live podcast. I'm yours truly, Giancarlo, your host. With me today is Jamie Hollywood Barrett. He's been on the show before. Big-time Giants fan, big-time Ranger fan. He's a Yankee fan, even though I'm a Mets fan, as you guys can see. Jamie, thanks for coming back on with me to recap the Week 2 victory against the Arizona Cardinals. Something I really didn't think was going to happen because, quite honestly, after losing 40-0 to the Cowboys in Week 1 and then being down 20-0 at the half against the Cardinals, with the Giants playing pretty much the same as they did against the Cowboys in that Week 1 loss, I pretty much almost started waving the white flag because, quite honestly, I didn't think the Giants had it in them to come back and win this game either. What were your thoughts about that Week 2 victory? And I didn't get to talk to you about and recap the Week 1 loss against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So if you want to throw some of those notes in here too as well, that'd be my
Yeah,
guess.
we'll try to throw it all in here. Let me just start in chronological order real quick. The Dallas Cowboy game, I've had a while to. We've all reflected. It was just like so. You almost couldn't believe it. It was almost like there was denial. There was so much expectation for the season. I mean, certainly not Super Bowl. I mean, but fringe playoff team probably. And for us with this group, we were like really excited about it. And we love our coach. He's the coach of the year, deservedly so, and got some new additions. And like there were some plays early in the game where I'm like, all right, some of these guys are doing okay, but it just started out. It was almost like it was a nightmare. A very, very good team. I underestimated them. I texted you. I was like, this loss is on me. I got to take ownership for the loss. I talked too much shit. I was making wild predictions. I was telling people you guys aren't that good. You're overrated. So listen, I got to look at tape. I got to be better, and I got to review what I got to do to be a better fan. You can't do that. So I'll take the loss, Giancarlo. I'll take the blame for that loss. But that was, I think the pouring rain the game got out of hand so fast, and we just never could recover. You couldn't call all the plays you wanted to. I think the pass rushers for Dallas they were just smelling blood all night, and we couldn't stop them. It was just their defense was almost like offense. Like they pushed us back so far. They're creating turnovers left and right and like intercepting passes. Like it was like we had two offenses playing against us, and it was bad. And we also left Jones in the game way too long. I don't want to get too much into that. But like that was really puzzling why he was in so long. That should never happen.
Daniel Jones wasn't the only one. What about what's his face? Left tackle. Holy crap,
Thomas?
I'm forgetting his name. Yeah, Andrew Thomas was left in the game too long, even after he tweaked his hamstring earlier in the game.
Well,
there was a lot of guys that probably should have came. There was a lot of guys that probably should have came out of the game, but didn't.
Yeah,
Dable is the kind of guy who likes to keep his guys in, get their reps in, which is understandable. But quite honestly, you should have gotten those reps in the preseason. And as we all know, these guys, the first team didn't really get a lot of reps in the preseason. They did a lot in practice, but not anything in game.
There's two schools of thought on that. Get them the reps so they're healthier and their body is like more inclined to do the repetition. But you can't leave a quarterback in there under any circumstances after like the middle of the third quarter. He's got to come out.
I'll tell you one thing. Daniel Jones is probably one of the toughest sons of bitches I've known for a very long time. Eli Manning was a very tough guy too.
He was.
But Daniel Jones, man, he took some hits and kept coming back out and trying his best to try to get things going. But unfortunately for him and unfortunately for the Giants, they didn't get things going. They lost 40-0 to the Cowboys in Week 1. That was a debacle. I fell asleep after the first half. I didn't think the Giants had it in them to come back, and quite honestly, I'm glad I fell asleep because they scored. The Cowboys just kept on scoring.
Yeah.
And then Week 2, a game that I felt, and probably a lot of Giants fans felt, that this was probably a must-win going into Week 3 on a short week on a Thursday night against the San Francisco 49ers. And you go down 20-0 at the half, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is wrong with this team?
Dude. I was
Like,
losing it. 60 to nothing, dude. I thought about that, and people have said it too. Like, we have let up 60 points and not scored a point. Like, something's got to give. Like, the universe has to align. That was bad. Like,
yeah,
Josh Dobbs looked like Aaron Rodgers for the first half. I've never seen anything like it.
it was insane. I mean, the Cardinals were moving the ball. They were running the ball very well. When they needed to pass the ball, they were getting the ball downfield.
Yep.
The Giants defense just didn't have an answer for
Yeah.
even a Arizona Cardinals team that, quite honestly, isn't very good.
No, they're not. They're not
You
good.
know,
Probably the worst team in the league.
but something happened at the half.
I
Something
don't
was
know.
said. I don't know who made the speech. I don't know what was said. I don't know who said it. But the Giants came out in the second half and they come out slinging the ball and they go down the field and they score 7 points. And you're like, where the fuck was this, the first 6 quarters of the season?
I don't know.
But then you're like, all right, this is a game. We're still down 20-7. This is still a game. Arizona comes right down and drives the
Oh,
ball,
that fucking
and they
sucks.
put up 8 points on the 2-point conversion, and they're up by 21. And now you're thinking to yourself, oh man, this was short lived. There's no way the Giants are going to come back down 21 now, let alone 20 at the half, and then here come the Giants again.
Yeah.
They just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. But the thing is up until that,
Past
the
the
Cardinals
Hyatt.
made it. The Cardinals made it 28-0. That made it 5 straight possessions that the Cardinals scored on.
Oh, so
Five
they were up
straight.
20 to nothing, and then 20-7, and then 28-7. Yeah, they
Right.
scored. They scored on a ton. And
So that was
also,
5 straight possessions, and then the Giants finally started playing some defense. The
yeah,
offense finally came alive, but the play that I think was the momentum changer, the play that changed the whole game, was that first pass from Daniel Jones to Jalen Hyatt.
yeah, that looks familiar, doesn't it? When you see
Ah,
that number 13 running
that
past
was
people, that
that
brings
was
back
just
memories.
that was
I don't
just
want to say
beautiful.
it, but it brings back memories. We all know what that means.
It
Also,
was just a tremendous pass. It was right on the money.
he
He
throws a
put
good
it
deep
where
pass, man. He really does.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that got things going for the Giants in the second half. Granted, the Cardinals came right back down and scored and made 28-7. So yeah, you're thinking to yourself, shit, man, it's going to be kind of hard to come back down 21, but we really need this win. And here come the Giants again, and again, and again, and before you knew it, they just tied the game, and then the field goal, the Gano field goal, wins the game with 19 seconds left.
Yep.
What was going through your mind in that second half?
Uh, it was you know what was crazy is that the first touchdown I was impressed with how he moved the ball, and then when they came back and scored to make it 28-7, I was like, man, that you're getting to the point, you're in the second half now. It's not like the first half. You know, can we score on like every drive at minimum? Now you can get a field goal, but that drive's got to be quick, like a 80-yard pass and then just like a sack and then three and out. That's the only scenario where you could have a field goal. But I was saying to myself, the Giants probably have to score every single time they have the ball, and they have to get stops, and they can't let James Conner. I was afraid of him because James Conner was running all over us, especially in the first half. Like, we could not stop the run, and that opened up wide open players for their guys downfield. We have a run defense problem in general. I think that's something that we could probably touch on later too, but that is an issue. That's a big problem. So I think I don't see the other thing too. I was wondering is there's some speculation. I don't know if Kafka was calling plays or was Dable. I guess he says that Kafka kept the play sheet and was making the calls, but it just seemed like there was a different rhythm. Like, there were some throws on first down. They were getting guys released out in the deep downfield. And even the protection was better as well. I mean, Andrew Thomas, our best player on offense in terms of, offensive tackles, he wasn't in the game. So I think that there was definitely a gut check in the room for sure. You saw McKinney in the first half He got trampled over by the quarterback. I will say this, though. I'm going to give him a pass because he did get called on the late hit for the quarterback. And I think that was in his mind, and he wanted to, like, not get a penalty. So I think that's what's going through his mind. So we go back to the second half. We make it 28-14. I'm saying to myself, all right, now it's only a 2-score game, and there's plenty of time left in the game. So now we don't have to, like, only throw. We were able to mix in the run because we scored so fast. So the fact that we were able to, and also too, like we said this, we've been saying this, Daniel Jones running the football is another dynamic weapon to this offense. I mean, he was the difference with his legs. I mean, on like the highlights, you'll see the pass to Hyatt, you'll see Barkley make these great catches, and that was a phenomenal touchdown reception by Barkley. The athleticism to turn, stay in bounds, and to dive and hit the pylon. Not a lot of running backs can do that, period. But Jones, like, he stays under the radar, like with the average NFL fan, like in terms of how good he is, but he made some unbelievable escapes to get first downs, to keep the drive alive. Like, he wasn't going to be denied. So we never questioned Jones' competitiveness. You know, we never questioned Barkley. I think there's good leadership in the room. It just seemed like they really believed, like, in one another. And the defense my concern was the defense after we started putting up a couple touchdowns. But, you know, they came through. I mean, their first 3 and outs, I think, were at the end. It was Will. You know, I think I personally need to see much more of a pass rush. That's a problem as well. I think overall, like, our defense has been a little bit underwhelming. I mean, Dallas, you kind of toss out because we were down so much, but that was an underwhelming defensive performance, especially in the first. And you could say the same about the offense. So, not sure what was said in the room. I'm not sure who it was or what was said or if it was Dable, but just hats off to the Giants, man. Like, they needed this win because if you go 0-2, you're not. I mean, the mindset of going to San Francisco is like you go 0-3, your season's over, like, and then you start to play a little, you know, tense. You can't have that, especially at quarterback. So I think now we came back. We have this incredible victory. Now we kind of go to San Fran. Listen, like, we're 10-point dogs. We don't have Barkley, obviously. Like, you know, we could play loose. Like, we can let Jones, like, throw it around, see what happens. The Rams gave him a good game. I mean, backdoor cover on that. And, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, listen, Giants really don't have a chance to win this game, but at least they're going to play a little bit more free, a little bit more loose than they would if they lost. Because I think this is a game that we had to win at Arizona, and we'll take it any way we can get it, man. So I am just, it's great.
Yeah,
it was a good feeling.
to get on what you just said a few minutes ago in regard to what was said in the locker room and whether or not Kafka and Dable switched play calling duties. The question was asked to Dable during the post game press conference, and Dable pretty much said, "No, you know, we communicated. He was still doing the play calling. You know, I'm paraphrasing here, and I mean, he didn't take any credit for the play calling. So either they, you know, were." You know, throwing ideas at each other during the game, there's a possibility. I mean, Dable is an offensive mind. Kafka is too. But obviously, something was done during the course of the second half. It was just
incomprehensible, yeah.
Whatever it was, it worked. And for whatever reason it worked. To me, quite honestly, it was a blessing in disguise. I just love the fact that the Giants came out shooting the ball right off the bat with that, you know, pass to Jalen Hyatt. You know, then some of the plays that they scored on were incredible. The pass to Hodgins in the end zone.
That was a great throw, dude.
That was a great throw, a great catch. That was in a tight spot because, quite honestly,
Jones
the defender almost knocked it down.
I know. Jones, like, makes plays. Like, people hate on Jones. It's easy to do it. Like, he's kind of doofy, but dude, the guy makes plays. Like, I know it's Arizona and they stink, but he was throwing darts out there. I mean, and I think he played with a lot more confidence. I think they're opening up the playbook. Something happened because we didn't see any offense on the first game. That was like a throwaway game. But
The
like,
Dallas defense is just elite.
yeah,
I mean, you
so
the
badly.
it's unbelievable how good they are. I mean,
Yeah,
they
sucks.
weren't even bringing their entire defense on those rushes. I mean, they would at times. I think there was one time when they rushed 3 guys, and they still got to the quarterback. They
I
still
know.
got to Daniel Jones. It was just unbelievable how bad the offensive line played in Week 1 against the Cowboys. It's just, it, and speaking of the offensive line, I mean the changes they made this week in Week 2 against the Cardinals. You had McKethan starting at right
Yeah,
guard.
yeah.
Then you had Bredesen
Lewinsky, they
starting
put
at left guard, and then Bredesen leaves with the concussion, and then here comes Glowinski again at left
yeah,
guard. But yet this line, I think, played pretty well, specifically in the second half, more
yeah.
so in the second half than they did obviously in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, because you didn't have Thomas there, and I'm hoping that he's back for San Francisco. I'm praying. So Evan Neal's still struggling a little bit. I mean, I think we got to give him a little time. We gave Thomas a little time, so let's give him some time. But yeah, I mean, it was rough. Listen, I mean, the Cardinals aren't very good, but it's very hard in this league to come down from like 28-7 is like a Chiefs comeback. We don't see that very often from. What's crazy too? The Giants in the last 5-6 years, maybe since we've been doing this, they've scored 30 points, maybe like 3 times.
A handful of times.
And that's with defensive scores. Like, because last year against the Colts, I think they had a pick six. I forgot who it was. I think it was a pick six on the Colts, and that's put us over 30 points. So we actually got over 30 points, like 31 points and a half. That's encouraging. All you need to do is put like 10, 7, 15 points a half, a couple touchdowns. I'm confident the Giants can at least get points. I mean, the Rams got points on San Fran. We'll probably touch on the preview of the game a little bit, but I mean, the Rams, they're just well coached and they have a good team, but they're not. I don't think they're better than the Giants by any means. I mean, and they were able to put up some points on San Fran. So Dallas defense might be better than San Fran, but San Fran's just all around better. But dude, I don't know. We have a lot of things to worry about though on offensive line, and not like the New York Giants' identity since we've been fans has been the pass rush. We just don't have it. Like Kayvon Thibodeau, no sacks. Like, can we just call it like we see it? Like, not producing right now. Got to do better.
The run defense hasn't been that much better either. I mean,
Nope.
you went and signed guys like Karake, and he's not getting it done. I mean, he had a few good plays, but he really hasn't been the difference maker as far as stopping the run is concerned. Dexter Lawrence and Williams in the middle. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
These guys are supposed to be elite run stoppers, and they've not been that.
No, yeah, I think they're running to the outside, and I know Mike will probably touch on the schematics with you at some point too, but we were out schemes for a while, and then there was some sort of change schematically. I can't put my finger on it because I'm not a football player. I'm a hockey player, but there's something with the scheme that dramatically changed on defense too. In the second half, or it could have been will resolve. Who knows? Maybe the Arizona Cardinals are tanking the season on purpose. I have no idea what it was, but something changed. Crazy. If you think about it, one of the worst losses in the history of the New York Giants franchise in a regular season game, or you could even argue postseason. One of the worst games of all time for the franchise, followed by one of the greatest comebacks in the history of the franchise. Daniel Jones, second quarterback in the history of the NFL to have 250 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown in a half. It was only done by Michael Vick. I think that was that famous Monday night game against the formerly known as the Redskins. So It's crazy. So I think we're gonna be somewhere in the middle. Like, remember how we said 9-8? I think that's kind of where we're gonna like. I think we're gonna kind of come back to earth, to equilibrium here. So I don't know what's gonna happen again on Thursday, but it can't be as bad as Dallas, and it's probably not gonna be as good as Arizona. Let's just put it that way. Somewhere in the middle.
So the Giants in the second half, in the span of 8 minutes and 51 seconds, scored 4 times. It's crazy. I second half, obviously the second half with that 58-yarder to Jalen Hyatt started things off. That was a 3-play drive, 75 yards, a total of 1 minute and 17 seconds, and that was the score was the 14-yard run by Daniel Jones. And then obviously Arizona comes back and makes it 28-7 with the 2-point conversion. And then the Giants come back on a 12-play drive from their own 25 for 68 yards and score a touchdown in 6 minutes and 7 seconds. Then they have the fourth quarter touchdown, 13 plays, started on their own 20. That went for 85 yards, 5 minutes, 50 seconds.
Yep.
And then you had the game-tying touchdown, 6 plays, started on the Giants' 36, went 74 yards, 3 minutes and 6 seconds. And then obviously with 19 seconds left, you had the Gano field goal that put the Giants in the lead for the first time this season, for Christ's sake.
Darren Waller had some big third down conversions too. Like in the middle of the field. There was nowhere else to go with the football. Jones knew it. The stadium knew it. And like Waller's going to make that play. I've been really impressed with him. Even in the Cowboy game, he was impressive. He made some like shoestring catches in the rain, separating from guys. Like he was very, very good even in the Cowboy game. So he's been a great signing. I mean, you got to give credit to Joe Shane on that. That is a big time signing, and he's going to have a big impact. And hopefully, knock on wood, he stays, healthy. But he had a monster game. I mean, he was such a factor.
No doubt about it. In the first half, obviously the Giants never made it to the red zone, and if they did, they never even got in. But in the second half, their red zone efficiency was 4 for 4.
Yeah.
I mean, red zone efficiency was a big thing for the Giants last season. They were very good in the red zone. I forget what the number was, but they were very, very good in the red zone. And in the second half, in week 2 against Arizona, they were 4 for 4 in the red zone. Can you talk about what you thought you saw that made the Giants more efficient in the red zone in the second half?
I think the chunk plays downfield, and when you make those, that will get the defense on their heels a little bit. So like the Chiefs do it, all these really elite teams like the Dolphins, like they, with these big plays, 40 yards, 55 yards. The Giants never really had those explosive plays, and now that we have a little bit of that with Waller, with Barkley, obviously, and then with Hyatt, starting out with us. I mean, those are going to put the defense on their heels a little bit. It's going to get you in the red zone more often. Jones, other than one interception last year earlier in the season, when Dable was ripping him for it, that end zone interception, he's been very responsible with the ball, and he can also run. So like. Jones, like they have design scampers. That Barkley fake handoff, he just drew it in there. Everybody went with Barkley. He just goes right around. He's fast. Like Jones is really fast. Like he's a running quarterback. Like he made it to that cone no problem. So when you have Jones as a running threat, it's just you have to have a guy watch him, so that leaves more guys open possibly to get covered, and maybe guys can't jump the route. Barkley's obviously a tremendous red zone threat because he can catch the ball, make a guy miss, and he did that on the touchdown, catch. And we're going to really miss him in this particular game because one-on-one, we don't have a lot of guys that can, go up with the defense. But I would say with Saquon, we hope him the best health here. Saquon Barkley is very dangerous in the red zone. Now that you got Waller, Jones is a running threat. I think the Giants just had a lot more talent down there than Arizona did, and Jones was very responsible with the football. And I think he was not afraid to lose. I mean, we know this about Daniel Jones is like he doesn't quit. So I think the team believed they got open. They got good protection down there. I mean, I'm surprised Arizona didn't blitz more and try to, get after Jones a little bit. But it just seemed that once they were in the red zone, it was pretty easy. But Jones made some big time
I just
throws.
don't think Arizona has the personnel to do it. I mean, they
No,
were.
they
There's
don't.
no
But
doubt about
Jones
that they
made
were
some
rushing.
big time throws. That throw to Saquon, he led him perfectly, so where he can go in stride and make that play. Even though it's a short pass, that throw to Hodgins, as you said, was a laser. That had eyes. I did not think that was going to be caught. Like I really didn't, especially
I
from
didn't think so
Hodgins.
either.
Like,
I thought the
I thought
defender
it
was
was going to hit
playing
the
that very
turf. I
well.
was like, no way. Yeah, dude, he was on fire. And you know what? That's what we need from him. We need him to be confident. But that's what it is in the red zone. We had more talent, and Jones made plays, dude.
Yeah, and there was another pass. I think it was to Darius Slayton that I
Yeah,
think he put. I think he put to it. I think it went to his shoulder, and he put it in the spot where only Darius Slayton can catch that ball.
that was an amazing throw. I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
it went out of bounds. I think
Right,
Slayton. There was
right.
another one. Yeah, so
No,
Slayton
well,
goes
no,
out of bounds.
there was another one that went out of
Right.
bounds that would have been probably the best catch of his career, best catch
Yeah.
by a giant in a very long time.
Like Mario Manningham. Oh yeah,
Right,
Odell.
right,
Like it was,
right.
Yeah, that was. And Slayton, dude, Slayton. I like. Remember we talked about this earlier in the season. Wide receiver like competition. I think Slayton is running. He was running really fast downfield. He was getting open. These wide receivers are competing for playing time. Hodgins made a play. Slayton. Wan'Dale Robinson's going to come back maybe in a week or two. We'll see. That's a big addition for us. And with Hyatt, so and Paris Campbell made a couple of catches. So these guys
Speaking of Paris Campbell, I mean, with the emergence of Jalen Hyatt now, with those two big plays in this week 2 matchup against the Cardinals, do you think we're going to see a lot more of Jalen Hyatt and a little less of Paris Campbell?
It's possible. I mean, Jalen Hyatt's, I think, eventually going to be our number one. I think that's what it looks like. Even though he wasn't in the first round, I think the Giants saw him as that. So, because I don't think they would have taken him if they didn't. I don't think Joe Shane would do that. I don't think he would just take one. So I think Wan'Dale is going to be our slot machine guy who can just get open and just be gadgety. And then Hyatt's going to be our downfield threat. He's still, I think he needs to put on a little size. I think he's a little lean. Odell was a little bit more muscular. But yeah, I mean, Campbell, listen, I mean, it just depends on our offense. Like now that Barkley's out, Jones is going to have to throw the ball around. I mean, we never see Jones throw the ball like 35, 40 times, but we may have to start doing that, I think, because that's the way the league is. And if you want to score 30, we're going to need to score 30 probably against San Fran to beat them, which would be a Herculean task. But I mean, you got to let Jones throw the ball around a little bit and be, and then you can hand off to Barkley, because also too, Giancarlo, like Barkley is getting used so much. I mean, you got to give him off he's being used every play. And I know you're trying to save your season, but like there has to be a way in the future.
It's funny.
Forward.
It's funny you say that, because I noticed that too. That we just hadn't seen much of Breida in the first 2 weeks.
Blocking on every play? I mean, he doesn't have to do that.
We just didn't see a lot of the backup running backs in the game, and we didn't see Breida until Barkley got hurt.
Yeah.
Or he was in the game as a blocker or something. But going back to Daniel Jones, I mean, he was 26 of 37 in this game for 321 yards, and he had the 2 touchdown passes and the rushing touchdown. He was 17 of 21 in the second half for 259 yards.
Yeah.
He ran for 59 yards and another score. So he had a total of 3 touchdowns in the game, 2 via the pass, 1 via the run. But he also did have an interception. And it was like deja vu all over again.
Oh my God, that was so.
It was a pass to Barkley that bounced off his hands or his helmet, and just flew up in the air, and it was intercepted. The only good thing is this wasn't taken back for a pick six.
Right.
It could have been, but thankfully Daniel Jones was able to chase down the defender with the ball and get him out of bounds. But Jones had a terrific game. This was a totally different Jones from the first 6 quarters of the season. And against San Francisco, in San Francisco Thursday night, I mean, what are we going to see? Are we going to see Daniel Jones from the first 6 quarters, or are we going to see Daniel Jones from the second half?
Man, we're obviously hoping it's the second half, but I think the Giants got to come out throwing the ball. I know, like, we got to get the ball out quick, get guys out in space quick. I know we don't have Barkley, but that rookie Eric Gray, he's a speedster, 4th-round pick. I think you got to. I would be shocked that if he's not incorporated in the offense a little bit, because we need to get some speed, from the running back position.
You set up the pass with the run, so you have to incorporate the run.
You certainly
early.
do. Yeah,
I mean, you have to do it early to set up the pass, because if you're going to come out shooting the ball down the field, San Francisco is just going to come right after the quarterback, because they're not going to let Daniel Jones beat him.
My fear, though, is that we start slow. Like, we started out the second half with a 50-yard pass to Hyatt. So I get the concept of set up the run of the pass. And again, I'm not a football coach, but to me, I would play very aggressive. I would go for it on 4th down. If it's like, if we are at the 30-yard line and it's 4th and 1, I don't want to kick a field goal. I want to go for it, because you need to score touchdowns to beat this team, and because they're going to move the ball. So it's like, I think the mentality has to be very, very aggressive from the get-go. Only touchdowns when you get like past the 30. Do not settle for field goals unless it's like a 4th and 8 or 9. If it's like 4th and 3 or below, I want us to go for it. If we don't make it, that's fine. But I just don't want to leave points on the table. So, and their defense is very, very good. They have good secondary too, and they tackle really well. And they have Nick Bosa, and we have offensive linemen that are hurt. So, that's definitely going to be a big time challenge. Running the ball, I think they're going to be ready for that. I mean, it's tough, dude. I mean, the game plan in the second half, I mean, guys were wide open, Giancarlo. It wasn't like it was, tight coverage. Sometimes it was, but there was guys that were free. So, let's see what happens. Let's see, Waller is going to probably have to be, big. I'd like to get him involved early. Hyatt, I'd like to take a couple shots with him, even if it's just like a 1st down shot to make the defense run a little bit, keep them on their toes. But we don't want to have like I think the play calling in the first half especially was very predictable. You can't just run the ball 2 times in a row with Barkley and have the same formation. You got to like move the guys around, more motion. So you just gotta get creative, because they got great play callers on the other side too. It's gonna give us fits.
Well, the Giants are facing some adversity early on in the season. Losing Andrew Thomas after week 1 with the hamstring. Now you lose Barkley for God knows how long. It could be a week. It could be 2 weeks. I mean, Dable is being very optimistic that he thinks that Barkley is going to be back in probably a week or 2.
I hope so.
By the look of things, it looked like it was a high ankle sprain. I was like, this is definitely 4 weeks right there. That's if he recovers in 4 weeks. But they're saying that it's a lower ankle sprain, so it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, depending on the severity of the sprain. I don't know. I didn't read up on what the MRI showed, but the Giants definitely are going into a game against an elite team like the San Francisco 49ers without their top running back, with the possibility of going in there with Gray and Breida and whoever else they bring in, if they do bring anybody in. Mm-hmm. It's going to be kind of tough to get the running game going, because, quite honestly, Breida isn't at the same level as a Saquon Barkley as far as a running back is concerned. He can get the job done. There's no doubt. I'm not saying he won't, but he's just not Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And he's not going to instill the kind of fear that Barkley does on defenses. Breida just isn't going to do that.
No.
But Andrew Thomas, now, again, we don't know if he's going to be back for the Thursday night game on against San Francisco. There's a good possibility that they probably held him out in week 2 just so they can get him back for that game. We don't know yet, but we'll soon find out. It's already Tuesday. I'm sure that, reports are going to come out tomorrow on whether or not he's going to be available for this game Thursday night. But, again, which Giants team is going to show up? I agree with you. If the Giants come out flying and passing the ball like they did in the second half against Arizona, I think they might have a slight chance of keeping up with the 49ers. I don't know if they're going to beat them. I'm not going to say they are. But there's always a possibility of an upset depending on which San Francisco 49ers team shows up. Because if they come in this game taking the Giants very lightly, the Giants might take it to them and, sneak out of San Francisco with the win.
It's possible. We're 10-point underdogs right now. I think the Barkley injury is a big part of that. Giants off a very high win. The good thing is that they're riding the momentum quickly. It's a short week. They're not traveling cross country per se. It's Arizona to San Fran. So it's not the longest trip. But it is a short week. And you do have San Francisco on full rest. It is their first home game of the season, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but they're going to be fired up ready to go, and this is a primetime game. And Kyle Shanahan does very well in these types of games. And he's got a great team, and they're healthy, and they have a lot of playmakers, elite on offense and defense. They're definitely a more talented team. The way that the Giants are going to have a chance is Daniel Jones have to probably play one of his best games of his career. And we're paying him the money to do it, so now would be the time. I mean, Daniel Jones has to go. He's got to Purdy's going to have his good stat line. He's very efficient, but they're going to do a lot of running. Without Barkley, Breida's not going to go for 100 yards. He's not going to catch a lot of passes. We'll see what the Giants can do with the running game. I mean, Breida's going to run downhill. He's going to have a couple good runs. I mean, and we'll see what they do with Gray or Brightwell. Jones is going to have to be a factor running the football, but he can't get into trouble either. We can't have him taking shots, and they got guys that can give you shots back there. We don't want to mess around. Inexperienced group on offense. Waller's a veteran. I think they're going to lean on Waller a lot. I can see Waller have 10 catches. I don't know what his over-under is for catches, but, I don't know if Jones is going to be able to really trust anybody in a game like this as much as he will Waller. Now that Barkley's out, I think it will increase his likelihood of targets. So from a -10 standpoint on the betting line, there's always a chance the Giants can come back late and cover. I mean, San Fran they just have all the advantages. They're healthier. They're more talented. I think the coaching is I think Dable's a great coach. I don't think Shanahan is a great coach himself, but in terms of where the teams are now, I think the coaching's about the same. Is Jones a better quarterback than Brock Purdy? I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, Purdy's on a better team, but Jones is probably overall a little bit better. And Jones can prove to you that he can win a game. He won a game in Minnesota. He won a game in Arizona. He won a couple games on his own, but he's going to have to do it here. I mean, Jones is going to have to be the difference. I mean, period. Because he's going to have to overcompensate for the lack of overall talent that we are building through the Shane administration. But it's going to be up to Daniel Jones. He's going to have to complete 30 passes out of 40. He's going to have to throw for 300 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe run one in. They're going to have to put up 30 points because the 49ers will wear you down. They're going to put up at least 25, 30 points, you figure. So this is it for Jones is here. I mean, this is how you earn your money right here.
Quite honestly, in order for the Giants to keep this game against the 49ers close, the defensive line and defensive ends have to do something. They have to apply some kind of pressure on Purdy because, quite honestly, if they don't, it's all going to start right there on the defensive line. If they don't get their job done, the 49ers are pretty much going to just take.
Dude, I lost you. I got you back.
All right. I was saying, in order for the Giants to have a chance in this game, the defensive line obviously has to do their part, not only in pressuring the quarterback, but stopping the run. McCaffrey is going to run wild. He is probably one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL right now. And if the Giants hope to keep this game close, A, they got to contain McCaffrey, and B, they got to get to Purdy. Those are the 2 keys of the game if you want to keep it close. I don't give the Giants a chance of winning this game, but I want them to keep it close. I want them to compete against the San Francisco 49ers because, quite honestly, this will tell whether the Giants are contenders or pretenders.
Oh, for sure. And the first time we played an elite team was Dallas, and that did not go well. Now we can chalk that up as the first game. Um,
The weather,
weather,
yeah.
just bad luck, blah blah blah. We still got beat. We still got punked in our own building, right? So you can make up all the excuses you want. That would never happen again. Okay, whatever. So let's just forget about it. Still happened. Still a bad loss, and that was against one of the 2 or 3 top teams in the NFC. So we have a win under our belt now, some confidence, and now we gotta keep this close. Like we have to be within striking distance or at least try. We don't want to get embarrassed. I don't think the team will want to do that either. The momentum is on our side. Coming off that emotional win, I think is a good thing for us. And let Jones throw the ball and let him play. Let him try to make some plays down the field. But we got to protect Jones, and we got to make some defensive plays. We need some takeaways. If we're gonna win this game or keep this really close, we have to get 2 takeaways. So that means
we almost had a takeaway in that game against Arizona when Pinnock intercepted that ball, but the play was flagged by a pass. What was it? Interference call, pass interference call. Probably. By linebacker Bobby Okereke.
Okay.
Yeah, and that flag, pretty much
we
negated that interception. Otherwise, we would have had a takeaway in that game.
We need an interception. We need like a fumble, strips. We need Kayvon Thibodeau to come up big. Everyone's going to talk about Nick Bosa. I mean, he's got to be involved. I mean, he has no sacks, only 1, tackle for loss. I don't even know if I think he has 1 tackle. But we don't call his name enough. He's got to get off the ball, and he's got to make plays. And Ojulari's been out too. He can never stay on the field. So we need our guys on defense to get some 3 and outs early. We can't let them on these 8-minute drives because they're going to run with McCaffrey, and then it's going to be a draw to the other guy. Then it's going to be Samuel on the slant. Then it's going to be a pass to Ayuk. Then it's Kittle. Then it's running again. We can't let them do that. You got to set the tone right away by getting a 3 and out on the first drive, or maybe, don't let them get past midfield. Our defense has to do a better job of keeping us in these games early. So we're not going to come back from all these points against San Fran. It's not going to happen. So it's really going to be, Jones has to have a big game, but this defense has to come up and play. I mean, this is a big test for our defense just as much as it is for our team. I mean, it's been underwhelming so far, and we got away with 1 in Arizona because they're not any good. But hey, dude, make some tackles. We need a pass rush. We got to get in the backfield. We need to get some plays. No sack. I mean, do we have a sack yet this season?
I don't think so.
I don't think we have a sack. That is impossible, dude. I mean, Thibodeau, our edge rushers, Lawrence, they need to have big games. Big games. If we're going to have any chance here to keep this close. I mean, the only way, if the game could be like 19-17 or, 20-14, like the defense has to play big. I don't think we're winning a shootout. Defense has to step up here.
While we're on the defense, who's the one guy you think has stood out to you on the Giants defense? I say it's Jason Pinnock.
Pinnock had a great camp.
He had 13
all
tackles.
Over the ball. Oh, he's a
he
monster.
Almost had that interception.
Yeah, he's a beast, dude.
He had 3 plays for minus yards.
Yep.
He's been tremendously good.
And we were afraid about Jordan Love being gone and there was going to be a drop-off. That's not the case. We're starting 2 rookie corners. I think Banks, he's had some growing pains, but I think he's going to be a really good player. I see a lot of good instincts from him. I actually think Isaiah Simmons has been pretty good. I mean, he's very fast, rangy.
He's been pretty good, but we just haven't seen enough of him on the field.
Right.
I mean, I know he's I think they're using a rotation right now.
They do,
but we need to see more.
Good tackle. He made a very nice tackle in the Cowboys game where he popped off the screen. He ran sideline to sideline. He was very fast. He made some plays against Arizona too. So I think Isaiah Simmons has something cooking. I think the Giants got to use him a little bit more. Maybe rushing up that gap to rush after the passer. We need help blitzing. Wink is a blitzer, and if we can't get to the quarterback with blitzing, our defense is going to get killed. So Listen, I think it's going to be up to Thibodeau and those guys, but I would say that Isaiah Simmons has impressed me so far. From the little limited action we've seen, I think he's been good. I think you're on the money with Pinnock, just an absolute beast, back there. And there's a lot of disappointments out there. I don't think we can list one, but
Well,
I would go.
Okereke, not for nothing. He's been disappointed. He's been disappointing so far. He was supposed to be the guy that came in, middle linebacker, to help the Giants stuff the run, and really quite hasn't worked out that way. I mean, at least through 2 weeks. I know it's a small sample size, but he was supposed to be the difference maker on his defense, and he really hasn't been that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Second half, much better, but the whole team was better. Second half.
I think we need to see more Simmons. Pinnock has been really good. Xavier McKinney has been pretty good. He's been all over the field.
Yeah,
I'm surprised we haven't seen much of Belton.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Say again.
No, I mean, I think McKinney got some tough breaks last game with the penalty. He was in a good spot, and then with a touchdown. Doubt. Yeah. Haven't seen too much of Belton. And then, Dexter's made some plays, but we need more. We need more from those guys. But I think Simmons, we got to get him involved as a pass rusher because he's real fast. Real fast.
I think the reason why he's no longer in Arizona is because of the fact that Arizona just couldn't come up with a sort of a position for him because they had him all over the field. They had him at safety. They had him at linebacker. And I think he had just gotten to the point where he was tired of Arizona just blatantly just putting him all over wherever they needed him. And he got frustrated with that. And a lot of people in Arizona feel that his growth as a player was diminished by the fact that he was being used in multiple positions, multiple schemes, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And Arizona, as you know, is a team rebuilding from like the bottom up.
Yeah, and they had Cliff Kingsbury, who doesn't do defense, and he was an overrated coach. And that's a dysfunctional organization. So, I mean, they weren't going to get the most out. Wink will. So, I'm excited to see what he can bring because from the limited times I've seen him, he looks like incredibly athletic and fast and can certainly make tackles. We need some of that speed. Like Micah Parsons, like he's a monster, but he's not as big as a typical defensive end. He is like more of a linebacker type. So it's not unusual to have a guy smaller than defensive ends like go after the quarterback. So I don't see any reason why not. They should try to use him as a pass rusher.
Some people feel he's the second coming of Lawrence Taylor.
Who, Micah Parsons?
Yeah. Do you put him in the? Do you put him at the same level?
Lawrence Taylor is NFL royalty. He's two-time champion, defensive player of the year.
I totally agree.
But listen, Micah Parsons, he makes that type of difference on the field. It's very. Ray Lewis is more of a traditional middle linebacker. Runs, but Micah Parsons, what he does, like every coordinator knows what he's going to do. He's going to try to get the quarterback. He's not going to he can cover somebody, but that's not his forte. So they just move him like every single part of the field. And they'll have him go from like the right side of the line, peel to the center. And like before the two linemen can double team him, he's already behind him. Like he just has the most incredible quickness, like off the snap to get to the quarterback that I've seen in like, I don't know, maybe ever, but he's just so good. And he's a monster. I mean, he's gonna be an all-pro again. So, Lawrence Taylor though, let's not put any disrespect on Lawrence Taylor for now. Let's pipe down on that.
No, I would never disrespect Lawrence Taylor, but a lot of people feel that he's at the same level as that Micah Parsons is at the same level as Lawrence Taylor. I tend to disagree. But that's. I'm sure Dallas fans have their say in that.
Well, Dallas is going to win the Super Bowl every year. I mean, it's their year every year, and
they never get there.
Yeah, we'll see. Dak's going to have to make some plays for him, but they have a great team. I don't love their coach. I really don't love their coach, so I think they're always going to be a little short because of it. But there's just not that many good teams in the NFC. I mean, the Eagles are like good, but they're not like as I don't know if they're as dominant as they're gonna fall down to earth at some point.
I think the Eagles are the best in the NFC.
You think
The
so? I think
I think the Niners
Niners
are
are the best.
just slightly below them, and then the Cowboys, and then there's everybody else.
I like Niners. I think honestly, dude, I think Dallas might be better than Philly. Like on D, I know Philly's got a lot of young defensive players that still need to mature in the league, but I think Dallas defense, Dan Quinn, I think he's a better coach of that defense than the coach of the Philly defense. And I don't love the Philly coach, Sirianni. I just don't like him at all. I think he's kind of a bum. I know like he's had success in the league and everyone in Philly is gonna like love him, but I just don't think he's that good of a coach. Or McCarthy.
What do you attribute all of his success to, though? I mean, he didn't build his team.
No, but I mean, look, I'm not saying that
He's just coaching this team. This team was handed to him.
he has Jalen
Am I
Hurts,
wrong?
who is like it was handed to him, and Jalen and Doug Peterson was like a very good coach before, and he had that structure was there. So I think Jalen Hurts is like a phenomenal leader, and he probably runs the team. Like that's how he did now. He ran the team. So I think Sirianni is just there, but I mean they have incredible talent everywhere. They have Jalen Hurts, who's a natural born leader, and they have a lot of veterans signed to deals that are pretty easy to handle with the cap. They have supreme talent at every position that you need. And they also had so many draft assets over the years because they traded down, they got extra draft picks. So like they almost like can't miss. And the NFC is not that strong, so they're gonna win so many games. I thought Jalen Hurts played his ass off in the Super Bowl. I think other than that fumble.
We just lost Jamie. Let me see if I can get him back. And you're back.
Shut off.
It's all good. We'll just keep going. All right, so let's just quickly give our take on the following week 3 game against the 49ers. I truly believe that the Giants can make a game out of this week 3 matchup against the 49ers if their offensive line protects Daniel Jones like they did in week 2 against Arizona, and obviously that's going to be a harder task against the 49ers because quite honestly, Arizona really doesn't have the talent to pressure the quarterback like the Cowboys did in week 1 where the Giants lost 40-0.
Yeah.
Number 2, the Giants defense has to stop the run. They have to contain McCaffrey. 3, Daniel Jones has to make the big plays. They have to call his number almost every possession possible in order for the Giants to stay close to the 49ers through this game. I think there's a slight chance if everything falls into place for the New York Giants, I think there's a chance, slim chance, that they can upset the 49ers. But everything has to fall in place for them in order to do that. If it doesn't, if things start off like they did in week 1 in that 40-0 debacle, and then the first 2 quarters against Arizona, the Giants are going 1-2.
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of things have to go our way. It really would help if Andrew Thomas is healthy playing. But I think the big thing for the Giants has got to be creating some turnovers on defense and getting a pass rush going. I mean, if the Giants can like get a really dominant pass rush, this team could make the playoffs easily. I mean, if we can get a pass rush that is as half as good as Dallas, or 60% of the way to what Dallas is, we can make the playoffs because the NFC, there's teams you could win. Like we just do not put the other team in a disadvantage. You got to get the other team on 3rd and 16. You got to create more penalties for false starts because of the pressure. We have to keep the ball on the other half of the field and get some easy 3 and outs. I'm talking about when the game begins, like the first quarter, we got to get some stops. And then let our offense get into rhythm. Let Jones make a couple throws. We got to keep this game close into the third, fourth quarter to give them a little bit of doubt, home fans, then the pressure builds on them. So, I think not having Barkley in the run game is going to be a very big loss because we're going to want to slow the clock down. I think Dable is going to, we want to keep their offense off the field. We want to keep them, kind of away from those explosive plays.
And they have a lot of players that can get explosive plays.
Yeah,
they
long
got Brandon
drives.
Ayuk. They got plenty of. They got
Kittle.
Kittle. Yep, McCaffrey. I mean, there's plenty of talent on that offense.
Samuel. Yeah,
I agree with you. They got to keep their offense off the field, but takeaways and giveaways are going to be key as well.
Got to get after Purdy, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you gotta get to Purdy. You gotta try to force a turnover.
Yeah.
To get the ball going the other way, because that is the only way you're ever going to stop the San Francisco 49ers if you get
they have
to Purdy.
Great tackles. Their offensive line is excellent. They got Trent Williams, who's going to be a Hall of Fame player, and they just have. I think they have McGlinchey. They have some great players. I mean, they have an elite offensive line. And our defense, Thibodeau, and if Ojulari is in, but Thibodeau has to he's got to be on a factor. He's got to make some plays. I mean, he has to have a game similar to that Commanders game last year. He's got to make some plays. He's a first-round pick. He's number 5 overall. I mean,
there's no doubt. Yep, he definitely does need to do something. He needs to get, and if he can't get sacks, at least get some quarterback hits. Let Purdy know that you're there.
Yeah, dude.
Let him be scared of what's to come. But again, easier said than done. I'm not the guy on the field pressuring the quarterback, but this is the reason why Thibodeau was brought here to be that that pass rusher the Giants needed. But Mike on our pod last time brought up a very good point, and he was somewhat disappointed at the fact that the Giants didn't bring in another pass rusher either through the draft or through free agency, because he really felt with Ojulari's injury history that the Giants really needed another pass rusher and on his defense, and they didn't go out and get one. Do you think that the Giants should probably go out and get another pass rusher?
Maybe. I mean, we do have Boogie Basham. We do have other guys that can rotate in.
He's another guy I haven't seen.
I know. So, I mean, we don't know what the story is with that. If they're being rotated in, maybe they're not enough.
Well, that's what the Giants are doing a lot of right now. They're doing a lot of rotating.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that could be an issue too. But Thibodeau's got to perform. Lawrence, they're going to get their interior pressure at times, but they stay away from those guys if they can. But it seems like other teams, they kind of know where our weakness is during the series, and we need Thibodeau to win one-on-one matchups. I don't think we should get I think we also traded a draft pick for Basham and for Simmons, so we can't just keep trading picks for a season where, let's face it, we're not going to the Super Bowl. So I would be weary of that. I think we just kind of have to go with what we have. You got to know if Thibodeau is going to be a franchise guy, you're going to pay big money. And this is going to be one of those years where you got to prove it. So I think bringing in another pass rusher is not going to get you where you want to go in terms of playoffs, and you're also not going to see Thibodeau as much. So I think you need to play Ojulari and Thibodeau as much as possible to know what you have, because we think they both have great potential, but we got to see it. And the other guys that you brought in, Basham, I haven't heard his name yet. You got to let these guys play too. So, also, we haven't been in a lot of 3rd and 16s either, where they have to pass. Because our defense has given up so many bad plays, especially early on in games running the ball. Because if you can't stop the run, you're not going to get a pass rush, period. So it all kind of flows together. But I would say no, I don't think we should get a pass rusher right now. I'm really not sure what we would add right now for our team, because, again, we're not a Super Bowl contending team. Now, if we have the chance to make a playoffs later in the year, maybe that's different, but got to roll with what we got, man.
I think we're going to see a lot of Isaiah Simmons this week considering the fact that Kittle's going to be running all over the field looking to make a big play. I think Isaiah Simmons is probably the only linebacker that we know that would be able to keep up with Kittle and maybe, shut him down somewhat in this game and, give the Giants a chance of, defending the pass somewhat, especially against a big tight end like Kittle.
Yeah, we also got to check on the LA Rams, what they did well, because Stafford, I think Stafford is still, when he's hot, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league, at least top half. And he's a really good thrower of the football. He made some bad throws too, that were just bad errors, but he's a good player. And they were able to move the ball a little bit. Now, they don't have Todd Gurley. They don't have a big time back. They have Kupp. But other than that, they really don't have that many guys that are that good. I mean, they're overachieving. They had a good win at Seattle, and the Rams are well coached. But they did some things. They put up 23 points. It's nothing to sneeze at San Francisco. So we have to look to see what they did well. I think we have a better tight end. So I think it's going to be Waller. I think you need to get some of these wide receivers out in space. Breida, I mean, you're going to have to do the best you can there. You're not going to expect a lot from him out of the passing game. You're going to need him to be big time in the blocking to help against Bosa. You're going to need, if Thomas, we pray he's healthy, but it's going to be tough sledding. And we're going to have to roll out Jones. If Bosa's on one side, you roll him out the other side, and you just try to hit somebody. Jones is going to have to run with his legs a lot. And if Jones can do that, we have a chance. But, without Jones running around a little bit and saving us on 3rd and 10 with his legs, I don't know. I mean, I think you got to open up the playbook and let him kind of do his thing. Tough game, though, man.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I don't know about you, but I had the Giants starting 1-2 on the season. I mean, I never saw a 40-0 loss in week 1.
I had them 2-1.
And I didn't see a 20-0 deficit at the half against the Arizona Cardinals, but the second half really,
So here's the thing: I had the Giants 9-8. I had them winning week 1 in Dallas, and then winning Arizona, losing to for San Fran. So I was wrong on the first call, but now that the Jets don't have Rodgers, that's a game that I had as a loss that we may be able to steal.
Mm-hmm.
So. You don't know about that. I mean, Green Bay, with Jordan Love, that's a toss-up game to me. There's games in this down. Seattle's going to be a tough game too, but we beat them. We did lose to them last year. We put some points up on them. But they got Geno. They got a little bit of issues there. They had a big win against
the
Detroit.
Lions.
Yeah, and that was a puzzling loss that the Lions were going to take it. They can't stop anybody. So. Geno Smith, I think we're going to want to really take him out, but we got to focus on this one right here.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead. I just want to focus on this game here.
Because after that is Miami, and that's gonna, it could spiral. It could get out of control, dude. It can. I mean, we could be looking at a tough start.
That's why winning against Arizona was a big win.
Must win.
I mean, because we could be looking at 0-3 going into this week. Instead of 1-2, and then you got Buffalo, you got Miami. Who else do we have? What do we have next week?
I think it's Seattle, and then I think it's Miami. I think,
and then Buffalo.
I mean, dude, we could easily have gone 0-6. I mean,
yeah.
It's good teams can go 0-6. So I mean, we had to win last week. We're gonna have to steal one of these games. I don't know if it's Seattle. I mean, this game would be very tough to do, but. You got to know where you're at, and if we can keep this within a touchdown, 8, 9 points, 5 points, that's encouraging.
I just want the Giants to compete in this game and not get blown out. There's a difference between losing a game and being blown out.
Yeah.
I mean, I can deal with losing by 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 points, but getting blown out 40-0 against the Cowboys was just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then being down 20-0 to Arizona was like, what the fuck? And you're thinking, what the hell's going on here? I mean, this was supposed to be, a season where the Giants, took the next step forward, and yet we're taking a step back. But the Niners are a team that I think is going to be tough to win against. But again, if all the chips fall into place, there's a good chance the Giants could come away with a win here if, again, a big if they do what they need to do.
Yep.
That's protect the ball, run the ball, pass the ball. Takeaways is going to be key for the defense. You got to try to get the ball away from San Francisco.
Gotta do it, man.
All right, Jamie. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I got Mike coming on tomorrow night. He's going to be doing some all 22 with me. So that's going to be fun to look at some video if we can possibly get it on here. If not, everybody's going to have to listen in and, get his analysis on what transpired in Sunday's win against the Cardinals. But definitely got to get together again for a recap in week 3.
Yep.
And
I'm going to Nashville late next week, so if we can get earlier next week, we'll try to do it. My son's got yeah.
You let me know.
Man, God bless. Great to be on. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Let's go Giants. Peace out. Later.